40 cars took part in the event on the Mud Trial Club's new track at the Newtown Park Speedway. The weekend meeting is only the second time it's been used, and it proved challenging for the drivers.
We've got one fairly heavy hole over towards the back of the course that is causing some troubles, but most of the cars are getting through it now. I think they're finding it okay.
But not all could make it unassisted. The club put $3,000 prize money up for grabs, the largest on offer in the northwest.
We hope eventually to build this up to be the premier event of the season.
After it was all over, there was time for a quick bath.
The best clean, dirty fun you can have.
In a growing trend, the Pole Hereford Society has joined a number of other breed groups to leave Sydney and set up in regional centres. The Society has spent $500,000 building this colonial-style office on the southern entrance to Armidale.
We're on time, the project's on time. We will open officially on the 29th of June. Dick Austin, Chairman of AMLC, will open it on that day. We're in a little bit early. Some of our furniture's got to come next week, but overall it's been a real success story.
The move by the Pole Hereford Society to bring its administration headquarters to Armidale was made to unite it with its research and development arm, which has been in the city for some years.
These days, beef breed societies offer their clients a heck of a lot more than they used to. It used to be just recording. These days, that's taking a second place to the researching and technical side of things. And of course, with the facilities out here, plus our own, yes, our members will get tremendous benefit from it.
Oxley County Council is based in Wauchope and handles the distribution of electricity from Kempsey to Foster and the water supply in the Manning district. The council operates out of 3 main depots which have now undergone their thorough annual National Safety Council inspection.
It looks at 76 areas of workplace safety, everything from lifting and handling of materials right through to good housekeeping in depots. And more recently, with the occupational health and safety provisions, looks at the management by staff of their own safety program and their own training requirements.
The depots at Kempsey and Port Macquarie were upgraded to 4- and 3-star respectively, while the Taree depot maintained its 3 out of 5-star rating. This follows a dramatic improvement in the safety performance of the council, despite the fact that it's engaged in a very high-risk industry.
We've found over the last 6 years that our man-hours lost each year have reduced from 9,000 hours when we started to 1,800 in the year just completed. So it's been a very effective management tool, but the better part of it is that there's been a substantial reduction in the number of our employees being hurt on the job.
Safety Council audits are not compulsory, but Oxley County Council decided to be part of the safety scheme following a workplace fatality.
Pleased to say that since we've been doing this, there's obviously been a much broader awareness of safety requirements by all our staff. I think it's fair to say that they all think safety now, whereas when we started the program there was not that priority.
He was the warrior Conan, the celluloid cyborg in 2 Terminator movies, but his first claim to fame was as the pioneer of modern bodybuilding. Professor Ron Lauer is the pioneer of something called the Matrix Principle, a drug-free system of weight training which involves isolating muscles, making each fibre work harder.
So a very simple exercise with a light weight becomes very difficult to perform as a consequence of having effectively exhausted muscle fibers throughout the route of movement and the muscle access.
So, in theory, bodybuilders get the same result using less weight. But it's the drug-free part which has excited the Americans. In the country where 13-year-olds are using steroids, they're looking for an answer. Arnold Schwarzenegger is already trialling the Matrix principle.
Arnold has in fact been using, I might say, some of the Matrix techniques in his own training, particularly in recent years, since he's been making a comeback and trying to prepare himself for feature films. But it's only now that he has the book and the full system, so he's presently examining that.
The system has been given the thumbs up from American bodybuilding guru Joe Weider, the man responsible for a lot of Arnie's success. Professor Laura will now spend a month in the US talking with the Terminator about endorsing the Matrix system on video.
Arnold is very interested in the prospect that the Matrix principle might be used as the core of the national fitness program in the United States.
Anthony Griffiths, NBN News.
The Sacred Heart Primary School was opened by the Sisters of Mercy in 1894. It was never a big school. Enrolments peaked at about 100 students in the early 1980s and steadily fell away to a present enrolment of just 56 students.
It's a sad event, I think, for everybody because the school has served the city of Newcastle and the Catholic community especially for the best part of a century.
The Catholic Education Office says the decline is common to all schools in inner city areas. They point out that the demand for Catholic education is increasing in the outer suburbs.
There's a decline in school-age population near the city centres, while at the same time it's a huge challenge to provide the places for schooling on the outskirts where there's a burgeoning of population growth.
Sacred Heart students will be accommodated at Catholic primary schools in Mayfield and Merriweather next year. However, the transition is unlikely to be smooth. The Catholic Education Office said it was involved in a lengthy consultative process with parents. However, those we spoke to this afternoon were clearly shocked by the news.
We've been quite shocked about it because it's a beautiful school.
I am shocked with the decision that they made, you know.
Were you told much about this?
Oh, no.
Parents and teachers will meet at the school on Monday night to discuss the future of both the students and, no doubt, the future of other Catholic primary schools in Newcastle's inner suburbs. Tom Hilston, NBN News.
The dispute within the Cessnock Workers Club has been brewing since February. It will come to a head this Sunday when results of committee elections are known. Led by Don Jackson, a group of long-time members are picketing the club this week, handing out how-to-vote cards. They want to see the club president, Philip Onion, ousted.
The club's always been a friendly club. We've always had lots of members and people come here, but now it's just turning everybody away because of the harassment and just the attitudes of everybody.
Of the 13 committee members, 7 have resigned and administration staff has been sacked. Barbara Rowan was a secretary with the club for 25 years. Last week, she was dismissed.
I turned up a week last Monday and Mr. Onion told me that I was no longer required.
What was the reason he gave you?
He gave me no reason. He just said that I wasn't required anymore.
Mr. Jackson was treasurer, but says he resigned from the position in disgust at the way the club was being managed.
What I am now doing, I am recalling on our out-of-vote sheet all of our vice presidents and old committee members to straighten this club out.
Mr. Onion refused to speak to us on camera about the matter. However, he did say that he wouldn't be around on Monday, the day after the elections. When questioned further, we were asked to leave. Jodie McKay, NBN News. The board of Pasminco Metal Sulphide has approved the allocation of $6 million to be used by the Bullaroo Company to buy 46 nearby houses. The company wants to establish a buffer zone between itself and the community. While all but 8 homeowners have indicated their willingness to sell, the planned buyout depends on Lake Macquarie City Council. It's now considering an application from Pasminco to expand its operation. The buffer zone will only go ahead if Council approves the expansion.
The first stage of the upgrade will bring the production of zinc from 83,000 to 90,000 tonne a year, but it will also allow us to significantly improve environmental performance from the plant.
Further tests on soil and air will be carried out to determine the exact boundaries of the buffer zone, but according to the company, funds are limited.
The board has only allocated a set amount of money. The buffer zone won't be extended throughout Bullaroo, nor will it extend to Argenton.
The company's attempts to control fugitive air emissions appear to be working. For the first time, lead-in air levels in First Street have come in under National Health and Medical Research goals. While those results are encouraging, the company says the buffer zone is needed to protect the community.
The streets of Casino became cattle yards with proud cattlemen and women displaying their animals. These steers were judged and then put to auction. A giant parade gave the townies a look at the many different breeds of cattle, plus a few extra surprises. This tourist looking for some action with the bulls. But what better way to promote the beef industry than with a barbecue? Tonight the program continues with a rodeo at the local showground.
About it, and if necessary I'll speak to the Premier, but I remain to be convinced at this stage in relation to our local forestry officers that the right decision has been taken. If I can be convinced of that, well then the matter will be somewhat different.
The mini-submarine raid on Sydney Harbour may have all the elements of a first-class war adventure, but off the Australian east coast, the reality of submarine warfare was less glamorous. After the Sydney raid, Japanese submarines went on to sink 22 merchant ships. Among them were 2 Newcastle vessels, the Iron Chieftain and the Iron Knight, with a loss of 48 men, mostly from Newcastle. Today's service in Civic Park recalled the tragic blow to the city's families. Captain Les Packman was to have been a crewman until a last-minute change of plan. Federal member for Newcastle, Peter Morris, also paid tribute to the role of the merchant fleet in Australia's war effort.
Mud and plenty of it awaited the 60 children and their families who participated in the inaugural Henstock 92 Fun Day. The children, divided into two teams, competed in events ranging from climbing a scrambling net and water slide races to tobogganing through the swamp. The day was organised by the Maxville Ventura unit, the aim for the various groups to meet each other and create a sense of unity. Organisers say the day was a great success. Plans are now underway to make it an annual event. Catherine Lamond, NBN News.
Everett Stevens gave the Falcons a great start as they opened up an early 11-point lead before Chris Harris hit back for the Super Cats. Then trouble as the Falcons committed turnovers galore and the pendulum had swung the Cats' way. The Falcons were woeful. Bobby Locke made them pay and the Cats led by 15 at half-time. Whatever Coach Weisman said to his charges at half-time worked. The Falcons unbelievable as they turned defence into attack. And incredibly, that 15-point deficit all of a sudden was a 2-point lead. The final quarter was the Falcons on show. Al Green was in everything, from a bit of push and shove with the frustrated Geelong players or simply doing what he does best. Dozier was a superstar. A big slam dunk for another two, then fouled out to the howls of the crowd, but the Big T had won many fans. Green made 3 on the hooter and the Falcons had pulled off a bigger comeback than Lazarus to snare a well-earned win.
The quest for power has been bitterly contested. During voting last week, the Jackson team and supporters kept a vigil outside the club, handing out how to vote cards. They wanted club president Phil Onion ousted. The matter came to a head today with the announcement of the winning team. Phil Onion wasn't present at the meeting. The locks on the office door were immediately changed and Jackson and the new board began work.
The future of the club is assured. If I've got anything to do with the committee that I have behind myself now, they are some of the best committee members that you could have on your team.
This is the man who calls himself Dr. Hans Butenhaus. While addressing a meeting of cancer sufferers in November 1989, he made the staggering claim that within 4 weeks he could cure cancer with a 95% success rate. After trying everything conventional medicine had to offer, Newcastle woman Una Peary turned in desperation to Dr. Butenhaus.
I went to him because I thought, well, I had nothing to lose. I had been diagnosed with cancer and he gave me hope. He said he could cure me.
At $25 for the visit and $10 for the herbal medicine, Hans Butenhaus treated Una once a week for about 4 months. Una says Dr. Butenhaus told her to stop taking her conventional medication. Instead, he treated her with acupuncture and a mixture of Western and Eastern herbs. What did he tell you at the end of that period?
I stopped having the treatment because he said I need not go anymore. My body was free of cancer and I'd need have no more treatment. And I asked him, how did he know I was free of cancer? And he said he could tell by my eyes. And that was all.
But that was not all. The terminal cancer has not left her body. Una Piri is dying. Despite our persistent requests for Dr. Butenhouse to provide proof of his cures, he has declined to comment. Surgeon and cancer researcher Professor Burton listened to some of Butenhouse's remarkable claims, notably his warning against surgery for cancer.
The most effective conventional treatment is surgery. Most patients who are cured of cancer in the Western world today have had surgery. So by warning people off surgery, this doctor is actually warning people off the most effective cancer treatment that we have.
Dr. Butenhouse's extraordinary claims extend to his own credentials. While he is a well-qualified acupuncturist, there is considerable doubt surrounding his claim that he worked at Prince of Wales Hospital in Sydney. The New South Wales Medical Board has no record of him ever having been registered as a doctor or as a pathologist. Hans Butenhouse also claims to have a Master's in Physical Science and a PhD from the Metropolitan Collegiate in London, England. When we checked the credentials posted on his office wall, we found that they were not from a currently recognised degree course in the United Kingdom. Although questions have been asked about Butenhouse in recent months, he has continued to practice at his Raymond Terrace clinic. But Dr. Butenhouse is about to move. He plans to open a new clinic at Aberdeen near Scone. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
In a rain-interrupted fourth-round match, Japan's Akiko Kijimuta had the world number one down 4-1 in the deciding set. Only 6 points from defeat, Sellers recouped, rattling off 5 games straight. For Steffi Graf, things weren't nearly as tough. She toppled Jana Novotná in straight sets, her lethal weapon right on target. To the men's, an American Jim Courier was showing why he's the tournament's top seed. As much as Croatian Andre Medvedev tried, Courier was always in control, taking the match in straight sets. Agassi too was calling the shots, up 2-0 and 1-1 against Emilio Sanchez before rain stopped play. Catherine Lamond, NBN News.
Nine students and 2 teachers from Henderson High School in Singapore turned up for classes at Cardiff High. It's hoped the inaugural visit will be the first stage of a close sister-school relationship. Cardiff High specialises in modern languages and already has a similar relationship with a Japanese school. This was the first day of a 2-week visit. As well as the school, their hosts plan to show them some of the local scenery. On the agenda is a trip to the vineyards, a tour of Newcastle and a cruise on Lake Macquarie. Already Aussie students are planning a visit to Singapore next year.
The 3-day tournament at Moree has attracted players from all over the northwest, Sydney and the coast. Entrants will play 2 days of singles golf followed by foursomes. Local big names like Mel Davidson, Kim Blythe and Sky Furno, who has recently returned from New Zealand, will be amongst the field of 180. Organisers are pleased with the way the annual tournament is shaping up and are looking forward to some great competition.
It is a big tournament this time because we have the Open Northern Cup and it's also our Jubilee year, 60 years of tournament.
Keith Smith is like thousands of other parents concerned for the future of their children. His son Paul, now living in Newcastle, is a fourth-year apprentice carpenter indentured through the Hunter Apprentice Group. He's intelligent, he works hard, yet he doesn't have a job. Mr. Smith is an angry parent who wants his son to have the same opportunities in life he had. He's concerned being out of work is taking its toll.
I believe that the self-esteem is right to the, very, very low. It's I've been down and had to, because he'd been out of work and living in terrible housing conditions at Newcastle, sharing with 2 or 3 or 4 people. I've been and had to sort of get him out because I just feared for his own existence.
Mr. Smith believes his son hasn't been employed because of the impositions placed on employers in these tough economic times. So he's prepared to pay superannuation and holiday pay just to see his son get a job.
Well, I'll pay the 17% leave loading, and to me, if that's the difference between getting a job and not getting a job, well, I'll pay it, because I think my son's life is worth more than that to me.
Last week, the Bishop of Newcastle, Alfred Holland, hit out at the federal government, demanding something be done to stop the waste of talented young people who are joining the growing class of unemployed. Mr. Smith is behind him all the way. Jodie McKay, NBN News.
What would you want to live out here for?
The Annie Street stores were built just after World War II. For years they've served growers from the Queensland border to Walgett, but now they're a little outdated.
This building has become uneconomical to operate. It's a multi-level store, and of course in the past years it served us very well when wool was handled in a different fashion. Today modern technology, machinery dictates that we should be able to manoeuvre that machinery, and we can't do that effectively on a multi-level store.
Dalgettys is considering 6 new sites, with Hexham on Newcastle's outskirts the preferred area.
Ultimately, we would look to go to a single level floor where we can have a lot of machinery and unrestricted access and manoeuvrability.
Until the new store is built, Dalgettys will receive wool at its Hannell Street stores.
Once we receive the wool, which we will be doing at Hannell Street, and we take the necessary samples, which will all be done over to Hannell Street, we will then, it's just a matter of storing the wool until such times it is shipped.
Dalgettys announced the sale of the stores today. Expressions of interest close on July the 10th.
McHugh's partly clad body was dragged from Cockle Creek near the Newcastle suburb of Barnsley early yesterday morning by a passing motorist. Police say it appeared he had been bashed. One blow had fractured his skull. He apparently drowned after being thrown into the creek from a concrete weir on Racecourse Road. Today, police confirmed that the body was that of Simon McHugh, a business entrepreneur from the Newcastle suburb of Merewether. He was the director of a company which was trialling a coupon parking system designed to replace parking meters in Newcastle's inner city. 1980. McHugh was a co-director of the project with his mother, a former Shire president of Coffs Harbour and well-known identity Shirley McHugh. It's understood Simon was convinced the parking voucher trial would be a success and that he and the company would make a considerable profit on the venture. However, police are reluctant to conclude that robbery was a motive for the attack. Tom Hilston, NBN News.
The International Sports Centre, the Hockey Centre, Newcastle's new entertainment centre. If the 2000 games come down under, all three could become training camps. General Manager of Sydney's Olympic bid, Bob Elphinston, left sporting bodies in no doubt as to the standard of Newcastle's facilities.
He was very delighted with the facility that we had, quite surprised at the quality, and I'm sure that if the Olympics come to Sydney, we'll get our fair share here in Newcastle.
Impressed they may be, but Sydney's Olympic bid officials have moved swiftly to make sure Novocastrians don't get any delusions of grandeur. They've already confirmed that should Sydney's bid be successful, Newcastle will not be hosting any of the events. A point emphasised in an interview recorded for NBN's This Morning programme. Executives are briefing councils in Wollongong and Newcastle, a friendly reminder that for Sydney to succeed, supportive neighbours are vital.